Hey, Jillian.
Hello.
So lovely to see you today. We were just talking about how we met, and we met through the Mediterranean Opera Studio, the massive summer school that's founded by the wonderful tenor Jack Livigny. He's a wonderful tenor and teacher, actually. And we were both we were on the same role. We were both playing Tosca, weren't we? And it was so wonderful to learn from each other, wasn't it? You know, as two sopranos who just wanted to really embody this role, and we would talk about how we were doing things and the character, and you know, it was and we both were kind of very firmly into spiritual teachings, and so taking it from that element as well was really beautiful to share with you. I was so relieved. There's someone like me.
Me too. Me too.
It always makes a difference, doesn't it? That when you just have someone that's just a little bit like you, it's just it's really fantastic, you know. But it's so lovely to have you here today.
Thank you.
So it's 9:01 and hi, I am Nadine Benjamin. I'm an international soprano. I'm a certified high performance coach, and I'm also an accredited NLP mind coach. NLP is neuro, the brain, linguistic, how we speak to the brain, programming, patterns or the motors that we run that keeps this brain going, and how we can use them in limitation. And sometimes I work with people to unlock those limitations and actually bring them into freedom. And I love it. And I was thinking today, I always talk to you guys about, you know, bringing people into connection and really seeing if you can connect with someone, pick up the phone to them. But I was thinking just to remember over the weekend, we're in our second weekend of lockdown, or safe at home, as I call it, that just to remember how you think is how you feel, and how you feel is how you act. Okay, so take care of your thoughts because they will take care of your feelings. And when your feelings and your thoughts are taken care of, you act differently. So let's say affirmations or affirmations. I've spoken about them before. Affirmations affirm the I am. I am here in a loving space today. I am here wanting to be alive today. I am here, I'm protected. I am here and I am living into love. Whatever those affirmations are to be in for you, speak in the I am. Anyway, that's enough of me now.
Sister. Love it.
So, we have the lovely soprano, Jillian Finnamore here, and she has been hailed as an extremely talented and energetic beauty who has drama, musicianship, flair, and a gorgeous instrument. In 2019, Ms. Finnamore was hired to sing the demanding role of Abigail in Nabucco, along with the roles of Aida and Tosca. Jillian has spent the last years making her mark in Verdi and Puccini. You know, I love the Verdi. So, and I love Puccini as well. I can't say that I don't. So Jillian has been assisting recently other singers, supporting them to use their whole beings, body, emotions, mind, and energy to thrive as performers. Jillian utilizes her credentials and experience as a Reiki master, as well as her training in Alexander technique and psychosomatic realities to help singers fully embody their singing. Oh, it's so exciting to have you here today. It really is. Hey, Hugh, lovely to see you. Good morning, ladies. I hope you're both well. Best wishes to both. Hi, Hugh. Really big hugs to you. So tell us, what began your love affair with singing?
Oh, let's see. Well, as a child, I sang with my family. We had a cappella quartet, and we performed all the time and in church. So I grew up in front of people.
Yeah.
And it was really, really fun. We did a lot of family bonding and laughing when we sang together. But then in high school, I was more into piano. I was a pianist and sports.
Oh, wow.
Not singing, even though I sang in choir and, you know, did all the regular stuff. It was after high school when I went to the US that I started getting into singing, but it was still pop singing. I still love pop, to be quite honest, but yeah. Contemporary Christian, but the style was pop. And I even went to school for it. Like, I began my university years as a majoring in contemporary Christian singing.
Oh, wow.
And then I met a voice teacher there, and he was an opera singer. And Mr. McIntosh, if you're out there, thank you forever. And I fell in love with opera, and the rest is history. So.
That's so amazing.
Yeah.
You know, because I went to pop school as well.
Really?
I went to a set of schools called Vocal Tech. Okay. And I sang rock and pop and drum and bass, and
yes.
You know, I loved it. But I never knew that you could actually major in Christian singing. That's amazing.
It was.
And that's something I didn't know about you.
Yes. Oh, well, yay.
Yeah, I love that. So how did Reiki find its way into your life?
Well, that's a little bit of a longer story.
Please, we have the time.
Okay. I think if I were to begin that answer, I would go back to where I was raised. And, you know, obviously my growing up in Africa is a whole other story, and there's a lot of layers to that. But for the purposes of this, the first place I lived was literally cut out of the jungle. So it was very, very, very jungle. And
where were you in Africa?
The first country is Liberia.
Okay.
And we lived way out in the jungle. And then the second country, we lived in a small city in Côte d'Ivoire. We lived in Yamoussoukro. So there was something about living so close to the earth.
Yes.
And it took me many years to put words to it, but there was a sense of consciousness in something in the energies of the space. And Africa is just so powerful. And obviously that's an enormous generalization, but where I was in Africa was super, super powerful and close to the earth and close to the rhythm of life. And I remember night after night falling asleep to the drums from the village. Wow. And it was so cool to be deeply connected to that sort of energy. Yeah. 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 And I think that I took that with me when I went to the US, but it wasn't until I found Reiki that I began to have tools and the ability to tap into that energy in a way that felt really supportive to me. Yeah. So when I came to the US, you know, I did the whole opera thing, and then, you know, the young singers and all the things they have to learn, and the many facets of being an opera singer, languages and staging, and, you know, you name it. And I spent some time really delving into that as a young singer. And then in 2013, I had been singing professionally for a good long time, and I was also at a large change point of my personal life, basically starting a whole new way of being in my world, in my personal circumstances. And I just kind of felt like I was at the end of a road. Yes. Yeah. There was a wall I wanted to climb over, but I didn't know how. I hear you. Yeah. I knew there was more.
Yes.
You know? I knew there was more.
I do know.
And I'm telling you, when you know there's more, that means there's more.
Yes.
And what had kind of come along with that was, and again, there's more to it than this, but as I was growing up, and this was not intentionally done by the culture I lived in, okay? It was how I received it, though, which was perceptive truth for me, right? I was born very emotional and very highly intuitive. Oh my
goodness, sorry, just bear with me. My daughter's just gone, 1 second.
Hi, everybody. Nadine's gone for a second, but you can be here with me, and I'm happy to see you today. Oh, here she's back.
So you was born very, did you say emotional and intuitive?
Yes.
Yeah.
of course, at that time, I didn't have the words, but I do now. And growing up in the religion I was raised in, and also the family, because my family are all extremely analytical and left-brained, which is a lovely thing, but it wasn't who I was, you know. I really received the message pretty strongly that the way I was wrong.
Wow.
And there was a great deal of shame involved. You know, you cannot be this way and be acceptable to the world.
Yeah.
But I knew that there was an answer. I didn't know what it was. I just knew that somehow the way that I had come into the world was 100% right.
Yes. Amen. Woo!
And I went on this journey when I came to the US, and I read for years. I just read voraciously.
Yes.
All the ologies, all, you know, you name it. What I didn't know I was doing is training myself.
Yes, exactly.
And I took Alexander technique and but by 2013, I had I wouldn't say I had read myself out, because I will always be a reader. But I had gotten to the point where I knew that the knowledge I had in the books wasn't enough anymore.
Yes. Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It does. That's my journey as well. So I hear you. Yeah.
And I wanted to take the knowledge and practice I had as a singer, and then the intellectual knowledge I had, and somehow find a way to bring them together, because they had been on very separate paths.
Yeah, exactly.
So that I could become one within myself, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And at that time, synchronistically, my Reiki teacher came into my life. I was teaching voice at the time, and her daughter became one of my students.
Oh, wow.
Her daughter is the most beautiful being of light. Oh, wow. Maya, I love you. But through that, I got into Reiki and did, you know, many, many levels of Reiki training. I've trained in Usui Reiki and Karuna Reiki, and also became part of a wider community.
Yes.
The vocabulary was new, and then it was normalized. And, you know, as we were talking about before, speaking in a certain vibration was normalized. And,
exactly.
Yeah. So that's how I got into Reiki.
I mean, I love that. I mean, Hugh is just saying, perfect, professional, seamless interruption, Jillian. Kept the conversation going. Well done. Nice one. It's that thing, isn't it, though, that we come to a space in ourselves. I really identify with you about reading. I mean, if you see where I'm sitting right now, I'm surrounded by books. Every self-help book you can think of underneath the sun. And like yourself, I've read and read and read and read. But as you were just saying, there comes a time where what is in the books, now you have your own story to tell. You have your own way to communicate.
Yes.
And, you know, and I think us as light workers or spiritual leaders, you know, within the creative industry, you know, I really identify what you're talking about is, you know, how do they integrate? How do you bring them together? And that has been my recent journey as well. So it's so lovely to hear you talk about how that has worked, almost like serendipitously for you. And
so beautifully.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I can really see, you know, you've made great changes in your world, and it's wonderful to watch somebody in my community. And as you say, we talk about community. We're here on the Safe at Home sessions. This is a community of people who can hear how other people think, and it's okay. And there's no judgment. It's just be who you are here, you know? So tell us, singing the body electric.
I love that name.
I know, it's great. I love it.
To give her kudos, my roommate came up with that. She's fantastic at these sorts of things.
Well, it's great. I mean, I always think that whoever comes on here, I want them to sing about. I was just about to say sing about, but yeah, it's true. I want them to sing about or talk about what they are most passionate about and what brings the most value to them. Because when you do that, then you bring the most value to everybody here who's watching and who's listening. So, so tell us about singing the body electric.
Well, and also that's from a Walt Whitman poem. I don't want to plagiarize. It's pretty much a direct quote. Let's see. Singing the body electric. Well, I would say for starters that Singing the Body Electric is a result of integrating all parts of you into wholeness. And obviously this is true for all people.
Yes.
But for the purposes of this conversation, as singers. So one thing I noticed, based on, you know, where I came from in my childhood, and then also being an opera singer and being in the world of opera, I noticed that, and of course, this is a huge generalization. It's not true for everybody, just as a caveat. But I noticed that in general, I found that the opera world offered me, for the most part, really good help in, you know, learning vocal technique and opportunities to be on stage, and even, you know, some mental toughness. But it didn't offer me, like, I see things as large structures, okay? This is what I do with my students too. I see it as a house, you know, with walls and a ceiling, a structure of thought, a way of being with your energy and your emotions. And so one thing I learned in Reiki is that there are 4 levels of, we have 4 bodies as a human being. And it goes from most dense to least dense. And physical, emotional, mental, energetic. And of course, there are a few different ways of saying that, but that is the general gist, right? And what I found in the Western world in general is that we have taken this, you know, we've become very specialized in physical medicine, you know. Having a specialized surgery is a wonderful thing that we have now, because we've gotten so advanced in our knowledge of the body in a physical manner. And even, you know, the whole mental toughness, I wouldn't say mental as in the ways that you were talking earlier, but the mental toughness, the learning to use your mind, the being rational, reason, all of this stuff are things that we've really developed in the Western culture. And those are good things.
Yes. Yeah.
However, if you have, as a person, you have physical, emotional, mental, and energetic bodies, in order to be a complete and integrated and happy human being, you really need to take on the worlds of emotion and energy and know how to be with them.
Yes.
And I think in our Western society, which of course trickles down into being an opera singer in Western society, we don't actually train people in how to be with them and to navigate those worlds and to create containers and structures and knowledge about how to be with emotions and energy, and how you can use your body and what comes up in your body as an access to your emotions and energy. Yes. And how all of those things correlate. And you know, I'm so grateful today for the journey that I've been on, because that is fundamentally what I did, is I found out how to do that.
Yes.
How to integrate your emotions, how to integrate your energy into the already well-packaged mental toughness and physical reality as an opera singer.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yes. I really identify everything you're saying. I'm just going, yep.
And, you know, it came out of great personal pain. But that's what personal pain, you know, that's me accepting my destiny in this life, is that I had that intense contrast of pain in order to create a whole new way of being that felt real and resonant and supportive.
Yeah, I often say, Jillian, that, you know, our adversity or our challenge is, you know, is where it reminds us to go and, you know, get more fuel to pump up the engine again, or to feed the engine again, because we can go along thinking that everything's fine, and then actually we go, oh, actually this needs readjustment. And I think sometimes the adversity or the pain is sent to remind us, okay, can you please readjust? So I really identify, and that I also, you know, identify in the sense of that the pain or the challenge and the opportunity, they are part of the whole. That is the whole. It's not just the opportunity is the whole, or the challenge is the whole. The challenge and the opportunity make the whole.
Yes, exactly. And so when I'm working with someone, they might show triggers, they might show trauma in their body, but I see people as whole and complete.
Yes.
Right? There's no problem there. I'm just helping you release that, sort that out, bring that back into wholeness, because your natural state is wholeness.
Yes.
So how can I give you either knowledge or energetic healing, or, I mean, the sky's the limit. And thank God I did all that training at a time I didn't know I was doing all that training.
It is wonderful, isn't it? That, your journey in your life turns you into the teacher, and we can only teach people or take people as far as we are willing to go ourselves.
Amen.
And would you agree that, this journey is never ending? I mean, it's
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But the difference is that now when something comes up from, a past trigger, something will come up, and it's coming up to heal. It's not there to hurt me. It's coming up to clear.
Yes.
So it's good that I go into the deep, intense emotions of whatever I'm dealing with, because then I can clear it and then it's gone.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so do you gently guide your clients into kind of understanding that process?
I do. And it depends on whether the client comes to me specifically for Reiki, or if it's a singer that comes to me for what I'm calling embodied soul singing.
Yeah.
If you go to my Energy Artists Facebook page, there's under services, there's a introduction to that concept. But yes, and I can work with them. Let me give an example.
Yeah, please. I'd love it.
And by the way, I have permission to use these examples.
Okay.
Consent is very important.
Exactly.
And sessions are highly confidential. So I'm not going to use names, but I do have permission to use these examples. One of my singers has a lot of energy, as in physical vitality. She just has fire oozing out of her pores, right? And she is a singer who her heart is so beautiful, and she just wants to give. I want to give, and I want to communicate what I'm saying to you. I mean, and it's just it's so lovely.
Yeah.
It's so lovely. However, in that intense emotional need to communicate, what is happening is that her body is getting really, really physically tight. And her shoulders and her arms are really held in, and her hands are released, and her torso is just in full muscular lockdown, basically. So she has been shamed her entire life and called out for being too fiery. Just calm down. Just calm down. You need to calm down. Yeah. She doesn't need to calm down. She needs to use her energy.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So instead of making her wrong, I made her right. Let's just use energy. How can we use your energy? Let's use it. Let's play with it. So we've been doing that. And one day I had her put her hands on her heart, which released the tension in her arms and her hands. One day I lengthened her neck in an Alexander technique move, which released her whole spine. And then it releases the tension in her torso. And she's only had 3 sessions so far, so the sky's the limit of where we can go. But the point is, with my knowledge of anatomy and Alexander technique, and then also knowledge of tension in the body and what that means emotionally and energetically, I can really help these people release. And release may be not the correct word, open. Open in areas that suddenly their body is freer, which means their voice is freer.
Of course, yeah.
And what I've heard in this particular singer is she has she's quite young now, so exactly where her voice is going to go is still somewhat of a mystery, right? We'll just have to see how it plays out. But her voice has a real squillo, which is good. But the work that we've been doing has really indirectly and naturally helped the sound of her voice kind of round out.
Yes.
And bring some shimmer into the sound.
Yeah.
And that's only because suddenly she has permission to be with her emotional and energetic bodies in a whole new way.
And that's it. That's the other thing, isn't it, Jillian? That it's really important that we give ourselves permission.
Very important.
To have access to those parts of ourselves. Because I really identify with that one. I was always told I was too much, even before I started.
Me too. Me too. So much.
You know, and you can, I really identify with the fact that you can start feeling ashamed of, you know, so you start to get smaller.
Exactly.
You know, and it's through this work, you know, as spiritual leaders that we've been able to just open out
100%
and embrace and it doesn't work every day, as in you have to keep doing it on a daily basis to remind our brains, to remind our thoughts, to remind our patterns, you know, that we do have permission.
Yes.
You know,
sometimes I also think we need to contract in order to re-expand.
Yes.
You know, this is a natural process.
Yes.
Yeah. I think one of the things that, and I don't know if this is the, you know, the silver lining to being in a very analytical left brain family.
Yeah.
But for me, it's always been important to put words to things.
Yes.
Sometimes it takes some time to find the words or to hear the words. But I have found that over time, I have become this person that can put a whole structure and words to something that that also helps me in my own personal singing journey, but also the student gives them permission.
Yes.
They're like, oh, yeah, the verbal language is very important. And one of the things too that I would share, and I'm very excited about this. Yeah. So it's because, well, anyway, let me refocus.
I love it.
I grew up internationally.
Yeah.
That means I'm what is called a third culture kid.
Yeah.
There are a lot of cons. You know, as with anything in life, there's pros and cons to everything, right? And there are a lot of cons to being a third culture kid that I have experienced. But one of the pros is this sense of it's not being intercultural. It's when you grow up interculturally, because that means that as your identity is being formed as a human being, you are living in other ways of being.
Yes.
Yeah. So I learned deep in my cells at a very young age that another way of living or another way of thinking is just another way of living or thinking. There's no judgment upon that. There is no judgment upon it.
Yeah.
They might be completely contradictory ways of living and being, both acceptable, right? Because we really require the polarities in life to keep life balanced anyway. So what that has meant in my work is that I have this, because it was ingrained in me as a small child, I have an ability to translate.
Yeah.
So when I work, even with myself or my students, I have an ability to translate what they're feeling, the energy they're giving off, their words into a verbal structure that makes sense.
Yes.
Does that?
Yeah, I hear you.
Translate emotions and energy. And I'm really grateful for that quality.
Yeah.
I didn't even know until the last few years that was something I did because it's so intuitive.
Yes.
I didn't know I was doing it.
Yes. When something's so much a part of your makeup. I mean, you traveled around different countries when you were little, like lots of them, but I traveled around different homes when I was little. So I also have that level of intuition that is able to read a situation in seconds and say, that's what's going on. And then to check it, you know, because sometimes that may not be the case, but to check it in. But it does make it for a quick, what's the word, pattern discovery.
It really does.
So you can help people immediately start busting their beliefs or to start changing their behavior in ways that are going to support them rather than limit them, because we are unlimited. We are limitless.
Yeah, we are. And if something isn't supporting you, then find something that does, because you are worthy of support.
Absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with you. You're worthy of support.
Yeah, and I love what you say. There's nothing wrong with you, because when I hear that, or I hear somebody say, "What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me?" I instantly say to them, "What's right with you?" I instantly counteract it with that, because we're so used to having that as a question in our sphere that actually nobody ever asks, "What's right with you?" So I love your ethos around "I am right." What is right with you at the moment, and teaching the brain to switch on in a new way and to form another neuro pathway that supports who they are.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So tell us, have you got any tips for us around, Reiki or singing the body electric, or, whatever? What have you got? What are your tips for us today?
Oh, what a good question. Let's see. Well, the first one I would say is, and obviously there is a lot to this, right?
Yes.
Let go of shame.
Oh, wow. Yes.
Even when I studied Reiki, on the energy, like they had people who would give different emotions, energetic, vibrational, the frequency of it, and they would count it numerically.
Wow.
Shame is always on the bottom. It's the worst possible thing for you. Yeah. And we have it. I mean, I don't know about other cultures. Well, I do. In the Western culture, and specifically, we have it so endemic into our society. What's wrong? Let's criticize them. Who's to blame for this?
Yeah.
Ad infinitum, right?
Yeah.
Let go of shame. Let go of shame.
Yeah.
And if there's any teaching, religious, culturally or otherwise, that is based on shame, then it's not correct. Shame gets into your in sneaky little murky ways that causes tension. It can lead to disease. I mean, as it festers, it just, man.
And I could recommend Brené Brown on
that subject. Yeah. Good for that.
Brené Brown on that subject of shame. Yes. I think she's got a couple of shows on Netflix. She's got loads of stuff on YouTube all around shame. So if anybody is interested in that, Brené Brown would be the master of that subject.
What does she call it? Does she call it shame resilience, or what is her wording for that?
I can't remember, but I just know that she is the guru on shame.
She really is.
And please, if anybody's here and they want to ask Jillian a question before we go, can you make sure that you put it in the chat right now, and then just let us know that you're here, and then we'll ask Jillian the question if you've got one. So yeah, and what would your number 2 be?
Oh, right, back to that. The number 2 is listen.
Yeah.
So, and the number 3 kind of ties into that too. But the point is, if you're right, then what we want to do is learn to listen really, really deeply. Because those longings, those desires, I find, even physical issues that I've had have pointed me to dealing with things that my body did me the great favor of bringing up.
Yes.
So that I could heal or clear something out of my energy field that perhaps I didn't even know was there, but it showed up in my body.
Yes.
Or do we have time for an example?
Yeah, we do. And we've got a couple of questions as well. So, have an example. Let's go. Okay,
let me be real short on this. So this is something that I've dealt with recently in a great many layers. It's been coming up for a while, but last week I had this great desire to have really strong, large, masculine arms around me. It was the week of the U.S. election, and the world just felt so chaotic.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to be held by a man.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So instead of making that wrong, I received that as correct within my energy field. And I listened on multiple levels deeply to that desire. And some of the things I came up with were that for, I had been dating a bit over the last couple of years, but I was never really ready. So there was resistance in me. I always kind of held back. But there's just this real deep cellular knowledge that I'm ready for a partner.
Yes.
Right? In the physical, tangible world, right? I know that. And I can rejoice in the fact that I'm ready and I have that awareness within me.
Do you know, that is so strange, because I had exactly the same thing happen to me last week. Yeah. It wasn't that I wanted masculine arms around me, because that's not my thing. But it was that I recognized that I had been really lonely. And what I missed was the intimacy of waking up to someone, and the intimacy of going to bed with someone, and the intimacy of coming home and knowing that there's someone that you can say hello to. And and I think you're right, in the midst of that election and everything that was going on at that moment, I just really embodied the fact that I was lonely and I had this immense pain. We're just talking about the pain. Immense. It was immense. And it made me feel like I was dying on some level.
Yes.
Yeah, it just really did. And I was, and I reached out to people and I kept speaking it through, because I believe that we speak through things, And at the end of it, that's exactly what I came up with, is that I am really now ready for my partner. I'm really ready to settle and be in love with the person of my dreams, and to have a full life with them. And I think maybe like yourself, maybe we had all these learnings that we had to go through. We had to show up as spiritual leaders first before we could get to that place. And I really radiate with that. I really radiate. So it's funny, there must have been something in the moon or the
Well, okay. But also listening to it and being willing to embrace the pain of the opposite polarity, then led you to the awareness of your present state.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And even on another level, going back to what I was saying before, as I heard that message and was also aware that I don't have a man in my life right now. Well, we all carry feminine and masculine within us as principles, right? So I thought, okay, so this is a message that I require more masculine in my life at this time. So I started lifting weights again. And I started being more structured in my time schedule and in my boundaries with myself and others, which is more of a masculine container.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
But it was listening to that longing that led to all of this knowing.
Yes, I love it. Listening to the longing led to the knowing. I love that. So can we answer some of these questions? So sure. Marjorie is asking, what about judgmental attitudes? So in what context, Marjorie? If you can just expand when you say what about, are you asking how do we manage judgmental attitudes towards ourselves and towards others? If you just come back to us, Marjorie, and just answer that would be great. And Monica Frankfurt says, yes, shame is a biggie. And Monica is just asking, how do you balance the anxiety, worry, depression of the current chaos, especially when you need a physical connection with another human or the universe?
Oh my God.
I mean, I can answer some. I can start.
Well, that's a question.
Yeah, I can start a little bit for you if you want, while Jillian has a quick think. But Monica, I think one of the things that I do, especially being on my own, is I get in the bath. And I know it might sound the most simple thing in the world and ridiculous, but getting in the bath, when that water envelops me, I feel held. And it's also, remember that it's kind of a birthing warmth as well. So it's like you're going back to a womb place, you know. So yeah, so that's one of my little tools that I have. But we'll let Reiki Master Jillian go into more of a deeper effect on that.
Well, I'm going to piggyback on you. Obviously, Monica, that's an amazing. Was it Monica?
Monaco, yeah.
That's an amazing question. Thank you for asking that, and thank you for being aware of that. And I think that there are many, many layers and nuances to this, and likely in your own personal way of being that, unless we meet, that, you know, if we meet, then I could speak to more specifically. But to piggyback on what Nadine said on a general level, first of all, you listen, you sit and you listen, or you walk and you listen. However you listen, you dance and you listen, you sing and you listen. Do whatever you need to do, just listen. I have a spot by the river. It's about a 15-minute walk from my house here in Berlin, and I walk when I listen. That's one way that I physically move through feelings and emotions. And I will walk down to the river, depending on the weather, and sit and look at the sun and journal, or just sit and be with my thoughts. And I have done it enough that I have the spot and I feel held by that. And the point is actually what Nadine said, is listening to your desires to being held. And as you don't have a partner or someone in that capacity, how can you hold yourself?
Yeah.
And what are the ways that you can hold yourself? As Nadine said, the bath. I'm fully on board with that. That water, the womb. One of the ways when I have a really bad day that I have redone during COVID is I cook.
Yeah.
I you know, on a day that I'm feeling down, I might look at my online recipes, pick a recipe, go to the market, get some food, come back, cook. Some days I pour myself a glass of wine. It depends on, you know, if it's a day I'm drinking wine or not. But that helps to create something delicious for myself and to hold myself in that way.
Yeah.
But I also think, you know, I think it's good sometimes to admit some of this year has, the conjunction of everything that has gone on this year has really peeled back any layers from the planet where we were living in delusion. It's raw on the planet. It pulled any layers back in your life that weren't working. They just disappeared, you know? They won't, anything that is unsustainable as of this year can no longer be in our presence. It's raw this year.
Yeah.
And sometimes just sitting with that reality is comforting.
Yeah.
Oh, this is what's going on for everybody. Yeah. Okay, this is where we are. Yeah. How can I move with myself? How can I hold myself? Yeah. How can I be in the world? How can I talk to myself? How can I listen to myself? How can I be of service to others?
Yes.
How can I hold myself, either with a bath or a meditation or a walk? It has really stripped us down to what is most essential in life this year. That is what is now working.
Yes, yeah.
I don't know if that's a good answer, Monica.
It's an amazing answer, and I love that answer. Monaco is just saying, how do you connect with your inner voice for guidance and direction? And I think you've answered that as well in the same way about, you know, walking and meditation. And another way would be writing as well, Monaco, like really writing down your feelings, you know, and so you can see them. The Artist's Way, Julia Cameron talks about morning pages and just getting all the kind of patterns out of your brain and just writing them down quickly, 3 whole pages. And I do that in the morning, and it's such a wonderful tool. Would you agree?
What's that?
Yeah. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Yeah. I've gotten to where sometimes I do that, and sometimes I write some sort of scenario where I'm really feeling into what I love. You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
It depends on the day.
No, and I really identify with that because there's a wonderful thing. I don't know if everybody knows this, because everybody always goes on about the Artist's Way. And while I love the Artist's Way, I am now a professional artist, as you are. When you are a professional artist, the best book from her is called Walking in This World.
I agree. I like it better.
Yes, of course.
Fantastic.
It's such a beautiful so anybody who is now an artist, please use Walking in This World. It will absolutely support you now as well.
Yes.
It's a fantastic tool to get through this process as well.
I used that book so much that it literally fell apart.
I'm using it at the moment. I just find it just, sometimes I do all 12, it says to do it in 12 weeks, but I do it in 12 days. So I do one a day. No, but it's so good. But I'm an immersion person, so I know how I learn. I learn from immersion. I don't learn from doing something once a week. That doesn't really work for me.
Yeah. Another thing that I would add to that addendum about listening to yourself, just to add an addendum, is if you, like anything, listening to your heart takes time to become a master of.
Yes.
Right? If you haven't been listening to your heart, your inner child, all these parts of you, it might be hiding a little bit, and you might need to woo it out and be gentle, but over time, as you're kind to your heart and you're with your heart, then your heart will speak more quickly.
Yes.
When I think of my timeline when I was growing up and had no experience listening to my heart, those first years, sometimes it would take me weeks to figure out what my heart was saying. And now it's either immediate or it takes a couple hours, because I've had years of experience of doing that. And one of the most beautiful things that has come as a result, the electric sense of the result of listening to the heart on a consistent basis over a long period of time, is this emotional security that I now feel within myself.
Yeah.
And I have become an emotional safety point for my clients, my students, my friends, not all the time, of course, but as a general rule, because I am emotionally safe within myself, because I've practiced listening to my heart for so long.
Yeah. And did you know, Jillian, that the heart is the first organ to be born in the body? Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. So this is why, when we come back into reference of the heart, that is why, because it's the first part of us that came out into the world to be heard. It's the first organ that gets heard. It's a really interesting. Yeah. Really, really interesting. So thanks for saying that, because it's and can I just recommend to anybody Louise Hay's Mirror Work.
Yes.
21 Days to Heal Your Life. If you want another tool, looking in the mirror and letting yourself know that you love and accept yourself and approve of yourself. She has so many exercises in here. They will change your life. I would
also say that Louise Hay has been fundamental in my understanding of emotions and the body and where we hold things in the body and all of that.
Absolutely. Marjorie Ivry, so we're going to go back to her question now. She says, what about judgmental attitudes? So she was talking about in regards to the self and others, and she says, and also in the religious context. She said she knows it's a very big question to ask. So, just say what you would like. Marjorie is a wonderful leader of play within children, and she's written many books that are fabulous, I know she's into seeing a whole picture, so whatever you have to offer in that context will be fine with her.
Well, thank you for the question, Marjorie. It's really great. I think on a more specific level, I would love to have a personal conversation with you. There might be things I would rather keep more private, but I work very hard to be egalitarian in my life and ecumenical, because I think that what Nadine and I are talking about, that way of being, can be true for anyone, no matter the religion. All religions at their core support what we're saying. I believe that with my whole heart. Christianity was what I was raised with. And at the core of Christianity, it's about love and grace. That's what it's about. It really, really is. And My family are still very, very conservative Christians, and that's completely correct for them. Their energy is aligned in the most beautiful way, and this is the life that works for them, and it really, really does. And it's a beautiful thing. And they have shown me over, especially recently, an enormous amount of grace and kindness. My father sponsored my move to Europe.
Oh, wow.
Because I asked, and he has been so supportive in the past number of years. So they really, in their own ways, they really, really live love and grace, truly. However,
I was waiting for that part.
I mean, there's a great many things to say about that. One of the thing that comes to mind based on the structure that I set up for myself in my life is if we have set up a culture and a way of being where anything that's of the earth, anything that is feminine or indirect, we have set up to be judged and shamed. And in former times, a sin, right? Then that trickles down into society and even the culture of religious institutions where anything that's of emotions and energy is judged as wrong. And whether they're religious people or they're scientific people or any kind of people, they get hypercritical because that's the only way they have of expressing their emotions. That's it. If you can't express your emotions and you don't have words for your energy, the only way to express your emotions is to be hypercritical, as far as and then also in your body, through the manifestations of emotion in your body. So now, granted, I'm not going to say that I want to spend a lot of time around those kind of people, right? But I think that at some level, they're right. If that is their only option to express what they need to express, then expressing in that manner is correct for them because it's their only option in their current setup of structured world, if that makes sense. So I think having some empathy towards them helps, but also if we're talking about how to deal with that yourself, that's a more complicated answer. I mean, I don't spend a great deal of time around those kind of people, but when I do, that is my chance. And this is one of the things that I feel is so important in our world right now, is becoming so sovereign within the own sacred circle of my body. And my embodied self.
Yeah.
That challenge on the outside of me forces me inside.
Yes.
Because on the outside, it's unsafe for my emotions, right?
Yes.
How can when I go visit my family, and granted, it has changed over the past number of years, but before, how can I be sovereign within the space of my own emotions and my whole world that I have created on the inside? And then I can live and move and be motivated from that.
Yes.
I think at some level that is fundamentally the service that type of behavior does for us.
Yes. It's holding on to that stillness, that autonomy within oneself.
Amen.
And to not be moved, to know that your learnings, your teachings, your endowments, have been given to you so you can still stay radiating light and love and grace in those moments. And sometimes that light, that love, that grace looks like acceptance of what's in front of you, that non-judgmental space, accepting what is and working with what is and saying, oh, that's interesting, rather than going, no, still showing that love in an acceptance level, So what's a really beautiful way to have tackled that question, Jillian. I really salute you for that. And And Marjorie is saying that is so interesting, helpful, and illuminates a lot for me.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Yeah. So Monica was also saying, yes, me too, with the bathing. I feel supported in the water and I meditate in it. Yeah.
Wonderful.
I never meditate in it, Monica, because I'm always too scared of falling asleep. And I have my bath right up to my neck. So. And Monica is also saying this is great. We know we've got to the end now, but I just really want to celebrate. I've watched your journey. You know,
really
sometimes near, sometimes far, but I've really watched your journey, and it fills me with delight and happiness to know that you have embodied all of the woman that you are now, and the way that you are now serving in the universe and in the world is at such a high frequency. And the people that you touch and the people that you are going to touch are going to be so lucky to have someone that is so gracious and loving and thoughtful and knowledgeable and has the amount of wisdom that you have. And I just think you're one of the most graceful and most beautiful women that I know. And I love having you as a spiritual sister. And thank you so much.
And thank you for being a signpost. You have been one of those people for me in my life because I knew you and I know some of your story, and I know you well enough to know that the times when I thought, no, I can't do this, it's not possible, the circumstances are too challenging. But then you were always there, and I could never say I couldn't do it. You were the living representation. So thank you for that, from the bottom of my heart.
No, thank you. Well, you know what my motto is? My motto is everybody can. That's my motto.
Really is.
Yes. It's my life force. Everybody can. I truly, 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 truly believe that. So Grace Loveless is saying, bless you both. I'm off to be limitless. Yes, Grace!
Thank you, Nadine. It's such an honor to be here. It was a great amount of fun.
And Linda is saying, this has been such a great discussion. Thank you, Jillian. And Nadine. Linda, I'm going to call you out. I think I want to get you on this show. I don't know why, but that's what came up this morning for me. So let's see if we can get you on this show next week, Linda, because I want to find out more about you. You followed us on the whole Safe at Home journey, and I think we want to talk to you. I think that we all need to talk to you as a community. Thank you so much. Have an amazing weekend, everybody. As I said, remember, how you think is how you feel, and how you feel is how you act. So decide how you want to think. Affirm how you want to think. Bust yourself, phone someone, connect with someone, find someone in your community that you can talk things out, be vulnerable. Check out the shame stuff that Jillian was talking about. Have a look at Brené Brown. She's amazing. And, you know, just celebrate this weekend. Do something really lovely for yourself this weekend. Have some compassion for you. The same compassion you show for the world. Have some compassion for yourself too. Jillian and I are here celebrating you and sending you off into a joyous weekend. And, thank you so much for being here with us. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.